Well, today is the start of the 2016 Livable Cities Forum right here in Halifax. The event will explore changing climates and changing communities, and the main goal is to get people to be a part of the conversation, all while helping build resilient communities impacted by extreme weather. So joining me here this morning is Eva and Paul. Good morning to you both.
Morning.
Thanks so much for joining us. Flew in all the way from Toronto, is that correct? So we're happy to have you here on the East Coast. I think one of the first things that we would like to address is just how are people going to get a better understanding of preparing for extreme weather conditions?
Our particular focus is on municipal government, try to help that local officials better understand the risks and the right things that can be done about them. Risks in this part of the world including hurricanes, flooding, wildfires, a number of different hazards, and what can be done at the local government level to be prepared. So we've got lots of experts who are going to talk about it and explain the best practices.
And kind of assess the whole association with coastal settings and like our changing weather climates and things like that, correct?
Yeah, so there's lots of new science, and make sure that the right people are paired up with officials in Halifax, but other communities across the Atlantic Canada and elsewhere.
And I know that there is a number of partners that are taking place in the forum for today. Why do you think it's kind of so important to have these partnerships to address risk when it comes to weather?
It's one of the reasons we have the forum is to bring people from different sectors together. We don't want just municipalities talking to municipalities. We want them connecting in with the insurers and in with the developers and in with other private businesses to have a more complete conversation, because not one of them can tackle the risk on its own. They need to work jointly together with residents even in how to communicate that.
So I know that this is going to be a couple of days, so obviously you're going to be addressing a number of things. I know that how are we going to be able to build these livable communities that you're kind of going to be talking about throughout the forum in the next couple of days? What's kind of the whole scope of that?
One of the things we believe is that you do it by building off of other good examples. So, you know, if you're sitting in a session that's talking about climate communications and you hear a nugget of this community in BC did this, and oh, we think that would really work well in Truro or Digby or somewhere, then you now have a person that you can call and say, okay, how did you actually do that?
Right.
You know, how did you write that report, or how did you write that newsletter, or how did you set up that good Twitter campaign? And so you're not just thinking, okay, we should use Twitter, but rather you're calling to somebody to say, how did you do it effectively? So not only do you learn about the thing to do, but you meet somebody who did it, and that you can apply that in your community to build livability there.
As a researcher, that's why I find this particular forum really exciting. The whole focus of ICLEI Canada has been on truly applied opportunities here, putting together people who have actually done this and made it work and make that available to others. A lot of the academic work is what might be done and possible or whatever, but this is really practical solutions that have been successfully applied by somebody here in Canada.
Well, you'd also mentioned too that there's new science out. Is there anything specific to Nova Scotia, the Maritimes, Atlantic Canada that you've noticed lots of changes specifically to our extreme weather patterns?
One of the things I'm going to talk about in the session that'll be tomorrow is a hurricane is just a different size, potentially different size of risk for Atlantic Canada, for Halifax. That if you look at the different hazards like flooding and urban flooding, wildfires, winter storms, there's a lot of different perils in Atlantic Canada, but a large hurricane is just a different scale. Part of what I want to share is some new work to say Hurricane Juan is the most costly event that has come through in the past, but there's work saying that we could have something that would be 10 or 20 times worse than Hurricane Juan, and so we should not just be looking at how bad it's been on big issues like hurricanes, but we should be doing some more work thinking about how bad it might be. And that comes mainly from looking at storms like Hurricane Sandy that went through and hit New York, and some of the other large ones internationally are warning Atlantic Canada. We have to think on an even bigger scale than we have in the past.
And now kind of once everything's all said and done, how do you kind of keep track of communities, whether or not they're implementing these recommendations and just everything that's been suggested at the forum?
So the forum is our flagship event, but throughout the year between forums, we're working with the communities that are here and ones that couldn't be here to check in with them. You know, what are you doing and what are you struggling with, and excuse me, how can we create a resource to help you with that issue to then help somebody else with that issue. So the forum is our chance to sing the praises and to highlight all the good things that have been done, but in between that is when the real work happens to make sure that people are on track so that at the next forum we can sing more praises whatever part of the country we're in. So it's that, for me, it's that checking in regularly and keeping ourselves on track and keeping others on track and moving forward.
I know that you had mentioned too that Halifax has actually organized its own way of kind of taking people through different simulations or just an idea of what weather patterns can be expected.
Yeah.
That's going to be happening over the next couple of days too, right?
Yeah, on Wednesday are the local study tours, so we have a great one on urban forestry, and so some folks from Dalhousie and HRM are coming together to show, what happened after Watt and how the tree canopy was devastated and what they've done since then to prepare at least the tree canopy and other urban forests for events like hurricanes or other threats that could cause damage to trees. So there's a walking tour that starts at Dal and continues to Point Pleasant Park and showcases everything that's been done.
Great. Well, thank you both for joining us here this morning. I know that there's still lots for us to cover. We didn't even get to all of our questions because there's so much when it comes to weather and climate change. But that's the whole point of the forum, and people are still able to attend too, right?
Yep, absolutely.
Perfect. So we did create a board with more information as well if you are looking to attend. The Livable Cities Forum happening today all the way until the 14th. It is at the Westin Nova Scotian. They're also online, Twitter. You can head online too to find more information on all the speakers.